Recently, I started a walk at Loughborough Junction Station, and it took me a couple of days to realise that that now meant I had visited every station on the tube. We've not yet though visited every station on the London Rail and Tube map, but we have spent a couple of days this winter attempting to do so on the southeastern and southern networks. And now today it's time for part 3, the finale, where we tackle the southwestern railway network, starting at Buryland Station.
I'll say one thing, this isn't a very good station to start the day off with. Very narrow platforms, fast tracks in the middle. It's not very welcoming really, is it? It's just bolted together and it feels like it's going to fall apart at any moment. Even the entrance isn't anything to write home about. Never really like when you can see the gap in between stairs, always makes me feel a little bit uneasy. I'm familiar with the entrance though, because I've passed by it a couple of times on walks, the first time on the London Loop. And because services from here every half an hour, I have a bit of time, so I'm going to walk down the path to go and have a look at something. This isn't what I've come here to see, but I thought I'd just feature it anyways, because I don't remember the pub. It's a very nice building. Now, on a recent walk from Stoneleigh to Tolworth, which were two other southwestern railway stations I hadn't used before, part of that walk did take me along the London Loop and the Hogsmill River. And we're back beside it again now, where in fact it's actually just up there, because this is a tributary of the Hogsmill River known as the Surbiton Stream, but I've also seen it written as Tolworth Brook. I thought I'd come right up to where the two rivers meet. That second walk I did past Buryland Station was actually when I went to go and check out the Surbiton Stream towards Surbiton itself, but I've got to make my way back towards the station now. I haven't got too long. Loads of people got off here at Thames Ditton. It's the penultimate stop on a little branch to Hampton Court, and is a station that's actually outside of London but has no London buses which serve it. I'll be honest, I don't really know what to do here for my half an hour wait, so I guess I'm just gonna wander around for a bit. I mean, I have found this trail immediately tucked behind the station. I did do a walk through Thames Ditton not too long ago, near the end of last year. I did intend to go and visit the station that day, but I removed it from the walk because I knew that I would be coming back here at some point to use the station anyways. I must have planned to have taken this path, but obviously I ended up not doing it. I thought there might have been a little brook over here or something, but no. Are we sure this isn't a brook? It must be a dried out one. Never really seen two holes in the wall before. Oh wait, I can actually see through this one. This is weird. And I can see the path going underneath the railway up there, so I guess I'll just take that to loop back around. There's an intriguing little discovery around Thames Ditton. I'm back on the train now just for the one stop to the end of the line at Hampton Court, and I'm on a class 455 train, which is one of the oldest remaining trains still in passenger service on the UK rail network, but they are currently being replaced by a class 701 train, which I've not been on yet. Perhaps we'll get one of them today. What they've done is they've painted one of these old units into a retro livery, the blue and white that it originally would have had when it was introduced in 1983 by British Rail. But that train has always managed to escape me in the last year that it's been in operation. However, I have seen it today, but as it's passing right past me, I can't really get a good shot of it now, can I? I don't know now if we're going to manage to find one. Why that door just open? That's creepy. I've made it to Hampton Court, which sits over the River Ember. Now, this is not a new station for me. In fact, I think this is one of the earliest stations I ever visited, perhaps even in the top 10 from when I came here when I was very young to the Hampton Court Palace itself. Very clearly a disused platform here, but funnily enough it does seem like it still actually gets used for bike storage nowadays. The fun fact about Hampton Court Palace, well, there's a lot of facts about it, ain't there? But the railway based one is that the palace itself is in London, whilst the station is in Surrey. The River Thames here acts as a border. As a kid, the maze, which is them hedges to the right, I believe, was definitely the highlight of my trip here. I'm not going into Hampton Court, but what I'm instead going to do is walk directly across Bushy Park, all the way across to a different station, because Berrylands and Thames Ditton on the main line and on a little branch to Hampton Court was the only two I needed down here. The rest are up in the London suburbs that way. Bushy Park is one of the royal parks of London, and we did cross it on a Hampton Court walk, the same one where we actually visited Thames Ditton not too long ago, so you can find that video on the channel. The fountain here seems to be under restoration at the moment. Last time that was visible. I also leave a link to both parts 1 and 2 of the station videos in the description below if you want to catch up, so you have about an hour's worth of footage. I'm hoping we see some deer as we cross Bushy Park. I'm not seeing any deer, unfortunately, but this is great nonetheless, because it's a very urban London adventure today. We're just visiting stations. There's not a whole lot of exploration or walking taking place, so getting to do this path across Bushy Park here is delightful. Well, I'm about to leave the park, but this sign here along Chestnut Avenue is telling me the two stations I've walked between: Hampton Court and Teddington. Just before we reach Teddington, I usually do this at the end of the video, but I'm going to do it now to see if it will change by the end. Favourite and least favourite station of the day. So favourite Thames Ditton, least favourite Berrylands. What did you expect? There we go, that's a good station building. That's what Berrylands was missing. I've made it with about 8 minutes to spare for my train. From Berrylands to Strawberry Hill. Whilst Teddington Station opened in 1863, this one opened 10 years later in 1873, and I have half an hour here again. So I'm going to go for a bit of a wander, but at least at this one, there's a bit of a local landmark around here. This is our first station of the day that has level crossing barriers, but there is also a footbridge here if the barriers are down, and also you can peer into the old station building here. This is quite odd. Well, it's not going to focus very well, is it? The one thing near Strawberry Hill Station is Strawberry Hill House. I've never come to have a look at this before. I feel like it's inspired by a castle, how it looks. I like the archways along the bottom of the wall. That's quite unusual, that I could see under a wall here. This definitely is a reason to come and visit Strawberry Hill Station if I've ever seen one. Well, I don't have too long here. I'm going to have to start making my way back towards the station in a moment, but it seems like Strawberry Hill House is adjacent to St Mary's University, which I'm fairly certain is the one my uncle went to here in Twickenham, or close to Twickenham. I have no recollection of passing this building, but I guess it would have just been quite quickly one time on the bus to 33, about 8.5 years ago now. That's a long time. Wow, I literally only just made it across the level crossing in time. Good thing there's the footbridge here anyways, if I did get stuck. Just as this train departs, I just want to draw your attention to the doors. You may find this with some of these Class 455 trains. One of the carriages looks different. Look at them doors, they're much narrower. Some of these trains, one of the carriages does not belong to a Class 455 train, but instead a Class 508, which is quite bizarre. Anyways, that train has brought me to St Margaret's, which is not the only St Margaret's in the Oyster Zone. There's another one on the line to Hertford East, owned by Greater Anglia, which is out in Hertfordshire. I have done that one, but I've not done the one here in London. I am reversing here, so I'm going to head over to that platform where there's only one in that direction. Strangely, in the London-bound direction, there's two. It's an island platform. That journey only cost me 85p. which must mean I've hit the cap for the day now. I won't get charged any more money today. That's my first daffodil, that. That's a hopeful sign. That means spring is on its way. This is so silly. This happened at Strawberry Hill as well. The trains stop at the far end of the platform away from the exit. I've made it to Twickenham, which is the intermediate stop between St Margaret's and Strawberry Hill. This is not a new station for me, I'm just changing trains here. But there's some good railway remnants which we can have a look at whilst we're here, such as what is very clearly some disused platforms. The platforms here today are numbered 3 to 5. This is 1 and 2, which are no longer in use. At least I'm not in danger of falling onto the tracks if I was to step in front of the yellow line here. Also, St Margaret's. I mean, yeah, I have done that, yep. That is just there as a reminder to the drivers, because some trains do skip St Margaret's and head direct to Richmond from here. The other railway remnant to have a look at here is if you leave the station and take this path up beside the River Crane, you'll enter Twickenham Junction Rough. There's a little nature reserve here, which once would have all been railway sidings beside the junction here. And there's a little reminder of what once was here before. A couple of buffers and a bit of track that is still left in place. Twickenham station is quite a new entrance, by the way. I remember when I came here to do the 290 bus route, there was some temporary entrance and it was quite grim. It's a curious bit of old railway wall as I'm waiting to leave Twickenham. Must have been another siding here or something. I've just left Witton station, where there's a triangle of track where I could either head on to the Hounslow Loop, which I want to do, or head directly to Feltham, which I've had to do, because I think the trains to the Hounslow Loop only run in the peak hours, so I'm having to change here, which again is not a new station. I don't believe we're going to get any Class 455s now that we're tackling the Hounslow Loop. This is instead of 458. Which is a refurbished one. I've not been on one of these since they've refurbished it. Well, this is very nice. It's upholstered in the new South Western Railway colours rather than the old South West Trains colours. I like the table that I have here. We might not have gotten a new experience of the Class 701 train yet, but at least I've got one sort of new train today. I actually had to move up one carriage because the platform is too short for the full 8 carriages. Although we're now on the Hounslow Loop, I've not gone to Hounslow Station first. I've instead come to Isleworth and I'm going to reverse here, so I don't have half an hour at both stations. I have actually stood here once before on a walk back in May. I did say that I would have to come back here one day to visit this station. I like the refurb, but can we turn down this noise, please? Hounslow means Hounslow. This is an awfully narrow road bridge over the railway here. I wouldn't like to walk this if someone was coming the other way. This station has just got 10 times more exciting though. Hello down there. Now, the obvious reason as to why I've never used Hounslow before is because I've just gotten the Piccadilly line here, which, to be fair, is much closer to the town centre anyways. Now, I didn't have too long to explain this at Isleworth, but when this railway line first opened in 1849, it didn't actually reach Isleworth and Hounslow until a year later. A temporary station was put in place just to the east of Isleworth that was known as Hounslow, but that even got renamed quite shortly afterwards to Smallberry Green. Isleworth station itself has also had a different name in the past. When we did a walk past that before, we went to go and have a look at the old Osterley tube station, which was known as either Osterley and Spring Grove or Osterley Park and Spring Grove. Isleworth, it was a very similar situation. It was known as Spring Grove and Isleworth. There's this funny additional part to the platform here where you have to come underneath the road bridge, but because you have to stand behind the yellow line, it is basically impossible to actually access this part of the station safely. They want me to walk here. Wait, this is literally impossible. I can't do this. I can't do this. The bridge is curved as well. I'm in more danger of falling into the tracks than if I was just to walk normally through here. Not just 458s on this line, it seems. That was the Class 450. Right, we've jumped forward a few stops now to Kew Bridge in Zone 3, which, if I move over here, is in the shadow of Brentford's football club. I assume this exit here is for when Brentford is playing. You open it up for extra capacity and it's a faster route to the stadium. Now there's actually another triangle of track here. As you come into Kew Bridge, if you look out the left hand side, you can see a spur of tracks that go up towards South Acton. No passenger trains use that anymore, but there's a potential that a new London Overground line is coming called the West London Orbital, and that will use that curve of track and run trains down to Hounslow. I actually forgot to mention that back at Hounslow Station, probably because I was focusing on the stuff I forgot to mention at Isleworth Station. This is the other spur of track right beside Kew Bridge Station, and you can clearly see that there's a disused platform down there, so no trains use this either anymore. The other curve had platforms in use from 1853 to 1862. I think the station was just called Kew then, and then these platforms were in use from 1862 to 1940. It seems like when the West London Orbital opens here, there'll be two separate stations, one on the other curve we mentioned called Kew Bridge, and a terminus one which will use this disused platform called Lionel Road. I'm not really sure why there's going to be a terminus one. Did there need to be two stations here? Kew Bridge, by the way, has a very obvious disused station building here. I say disused, it's a cafe now. I wonder where the name of the station comes from. I wasn't not going to come down and have a look at the River Thames here. There's actually a little path you can take to get down to the banks of it. The obvious destination to come to if visiting Kew Bridge is the London Museum of Water and Steam. Absolutely iconic chimney here that can be seen for miles around. Ooh, seems like there's a little miniature railway in there as well. Should check this out one time, I've never been in there. Please keep off the track, it's not worth the risk. Risky spelling though. Where's the apostrophe? Oh, there's a okay, that's why it's not worth the risk, there's a train. We've made it to Barnes, which is the junction station, so you can get to Feltham two different ways, either via the Hounslow loop, which I've just done, or more direct via Twickenham, and the station is literally just in the middle of a common. I love that. This bus map is out of date though, because it has services going across Hammersmith Bridge. That's been closed for a few years now. There's a great map here as well, which features something which is worth coming to in the area, the London Wetland Centre. Well, I guess given the opportunity, I might as well take a little wander around Barnes Common in the 10 minutes or so I've got until my train. Barnes Common is glorious, by the way. I do actually have to switch to that more direct route to Feltham now for one more stop, and then reverse one last time for the final station of the day. A little bit of admin for you. I do actually always have like a full journey itinerary that I write out, so I know what trains I'm getting and whatnot. Luckily, we have stuck to this plan for today. You can see there's quite a lot of trains on there. Back on a 455 for one stop. Oh no, neither of them are the blue one. Made it to Mortlake. There's a little Network South East logo tucked into the corner of this poster here. We saw something similar to this at Hove Station not too long ago. Mortlake might be home to London's least used bus stop. Only the 969 serves this, London's last mobility bus route. It only runs twice a week on a Tuesday and a Friday, a return journey from Witton to Roehampton Vale Asda. That's how I would have used Witton Station before, by the way. But I've just noticed that here, they're also advertising the Richmond Park bus. This isn't a TfL service, but I've heard of this. It only runs on Wednesdays. Oh no, it runs 3 times a week now. I guess they've improved the service. And it just does like a circuit of the Royal Park. I should get that one day. I haven't been on that bus. Now the 969 is not the only bus route to serve Mortlake, it's also the terminus of the 209, one of London's shortest bus routes, only running from here to Hammersmith. But we've mentioned that Hammersmith Bridge is closed, so it's even shorter now, terminating at the south side of Hammersmith Bridge at a place called Castle Now. Another route has been brought in since, the 378, which only runs from here to Putney Bridge, just to connect up with other buses towards Hammersmith. But the bus stop is closed today, it seems. Is this perhaps London's least used bus station then as well? Because it only has the 2 routes. Usually you would find so many more. I actually remember coming here when I did the 209 from Hammersmith. Because it was so short, I did the full route back as well to then pick up the 211. Why didn't I just start here in Mortlake? Oh well, I've done the station now at least. I've decided actually to walk up to Barnesbridge station rather than reverse at Mortlake because, well, come on, why wouldn't I want a little walk along the River Thames here? I just thought to myself, I don't know if I've actually walked this small section up to Barnesbridge before, because when I tried to, this path was just completely flooded. Oh, I'm glad I've done this. This has been amazing to walk along in the evening sun. Obviously I'm by the station now that I'm by the bridge, right? That's what that means. I'd love to just walk the Thames now, but we can't. We've got one more station to go and do. And it actually isn't this one. Now we skipped over this station and Chiswick earlier on our way to Barnes because I've done these before. Many years ago, on a rather random day out in London, I played like a transport roulette game where I rolled dice, and whatever number I got was how many stops I went on the train. And on that day I did end up at Barnesbridge and Chiswick stations. Putney, our last station of the day. It's a very off-brand sign, isn't it? It's quite funny because I've never used Putney before, but I've set off for railway adventures from here before, just completely randomly. I've bought 2 tickets from here once, one to Birmingham and one to the Isle of Wight. And I never buy tickets in advance, they were for a completely separate day. I didn't travel from here. Therefore it feels kind of fitting that this would be my last station of the day, considering I've bought tickets here before. I've set off for other railway adventures, so what better place to end a railway adventure? Thus brings to an end my 3-part adventure visiting a bunch of stations in London. Keep in mind, however, this does not necessarily mean I've now visited every station in London. I do have some spare still, which I'm saving for when I go and do walks. I think in total I have about 8 left. Let's see if my favourite and least favourite stations have changed since earlier. I don't think they have, if I'm being honest. None of the other stations were really that good, and I don't think any of them were really as bad as Berrylands. I just realised as that train is pulling in on the other platform that we have not come across the blue one of that today, have we? Nor have we come across one of the new Class 701s either. Guess that'll be for another time. Would it have been perfect if this train pulling in was either one of the 2?